and whatever. So you can carry on like that. Okay, so that's the perspective part of it. Now I want to show you the sort of custom patterns and how they can be used. So I'm not sure how many of you have used custom patterns before, or custom shapes. They sit underneath here. So you've got your custom shape tool here. Photoshop comes with a bunch of custom shapes, like these. These aren't particularly useful for us though. But you can make your own custom shape, and you can make a custom shape out of any kind of image that you like. Let's go to my favorite film blog with pictures. Actually, no, I'll show you with how it can be used just to generate a texture first. So I did upload one to Blackboard. So copy this. Right, so maybe I want to extract some part of this that I'm going to use as a texture later. The procedure of doing that is you go into Channels and you look through the red, green and blue, and like a lot of these things, you look for the channel that offers you the most contrast and detail. So I'm going to go for green for now. Now you can either depending on whether you're going to use this image later, you might want to duplicate the channel. If you're not going to use it and you're purely using it to just extract the texture, you don't have to duplicate it. But what you want to do is, a selection can work on a grayscale image, on like the opacity of an image, whereas a pattern has to be either pure black or pure white. So what you need to do is turn that image into a pure black and pure white. Levels is probably the easiest way to do this. So you sort of crush all of the blacks and crush all the whites together. And you kind of want to find lots of nice kind of granular detail in there. If I hold Control and click the thumbnail, that selects everything. But I only want, say, this bit just here. So Control and clicking the thumbnail selects everything in the channel based on its value. So white will be opaque, and black will be transparent, and everything in between is like shades of that. If I go to the polygon selection tool and go to intersect line, I can now sort of cut out the bit that I want. So now I've only got that. But that's still the selection. Now the way to turn it into a pattern is you have to turn it into a path. With that selection active, going to the Path tab here, you can click this button, and this button here will turn a selection into a path. It's a big messy kind of pattern here. Now that it's turned that into a path, I now can go to Edit, Define Custom Shape. You see a little thumbnail of what it's going to look like, and I'll call this Rocks. Okay, so now on a new document, I go to Custom Shape and I select the one I just made, which appears just here, and choose a color, and now I can just drag these patterns out like this. Because it's a path, it's not a rasterized image, so it's not made of pixels, so it's going to be sort of not infinitely smooth, but it's always going to give you a sharp, clean kind of edge. You can overlay this stuff as in a kind of textural kind of way, or you can literally just draw out with it, and I think so you can instantly, just with one pattern, you can create some interesting kind of ground planes, rocky kind of ground planes. If you wanted to do your kind of thumbnail composition type stuff, this could be really useful, giving you that real super clean, crisp kind of look. Because then you can kind of stick to just 3 values and create that. Or you can go to Lock Transparency, draw out a bunch, choose another shade, sort of draw only in to those kind of values. Create little textural bits like that. I think it's super, super useful at the beginning when you're creating, well, it's useful in loads of different ways. It's useful for creating compositions because it's clean and crisp. It might not be useful for final matte painting-y kind of stuff because it's maybe not as photorealistic enough. But for concept art and concept environments, if you've got something that isn't photoreal, I think this is tailor-made for that kind of stuff. But you can take it a step further and you can really use it in a way that's similar to the way that I showed quite a few weeks ago. I want to show you that. So I want to go back to this Evan E. Richards blog. I want to find some interesting stills. And I'm going to use Mad Max. Now the idea is you want to look for some photos, some images that have some high contrast and some sort of interesting detail. But you're not looking for images that are going to be like the thing you want to create. You're more looking for just interesting detail, okay? So we're going to create a bunch of custom patterns from these. I'm going to copy that image. Let's paste it into Photoshop. Probably go for the red one. I'm looking for stuff like that, you know, where you're going to get just interesting details and shapes. So I'm going to cut this bit out. Oh, got to turn it into a path. Okay, I'm going to call this Mad Max 1. Let's find another image. Something like this might be quite nice. Again, I want to turn it into pure black and pure white with not really anything in the way of grayscale because that won't be picked up by the path. Sometimes, actually, like this is a good example, I think. Sometimes you want to invert it as well, because remember, white is going to be where it's going to actually fill in some colour, and black is going to be nothing. So in this case, I want something more like that, because I want to catch all this kind of grilled kind of detail just here. I think about 3 should cover it. I just want 3 kind of interesting ones, maybe 4 actually. Right, again, so as I said, make it pure black, pure white. And I kind of want this bit now. And I'm going to go for just one more. Right, okay. So I've got a bunch of patterns now. This is the technique then to sort of brainstorm some stuff. You want to create a big canvas, maybe an 8K one. Change the color to, I mean, sometimes let's not always use grey. Sometimes let's just use a kind of, give some kind of color to it just to break it up a little bit. So a sort of dullish, greenish kind of color just here. Create a new layer. Custom pattern. I want to create this now with only 3 values to sort of delineate a foreground, midground, background. I'm going to use not only that rock one I made, but these kind of ones I got from the Mad Max kind of film. So the idea: select a darker color first, and you just got to you just want to fill it up and not think too much about it. And just jump randomly back and forth with different shapes. Again, you're not trying to actually make an image at the moment. And you only want to use these 3 kind of values as well at the moment. Sometimes you want to cut back into these shapes with these kind of negative spaces, okay? Okay, let's try this one. Once you've created a right old mess, merge these 2 layers together, create a new layer that you're going to put in the background. This one you want to be probably black, and create a layer mask for this. Fill the layer mask black so you can't see anything, and unlink, this is important, is unlinking the layer mask from the actual main part of the layer. The idea now is you're going to punch a little hole, a little window into what you've just created. So something a bit like that, and fill it with white, so now you can see through into that mess you just created. And now you can move this around and look for, hopefully, possibilities, interesting possibilities. It takes your imagination, because you're going to have to sort of squint your eyes a bit. Use your imagination, yeah. Zoom out a bit more. Okay, and when you found something you think might have some use, just copy it into a new document. and then go back and continue having a look around. Oops. Okay. So I can definitely see something sort of happening there. So you can go through this and you can keep on looking for stuff. You can very quickly create a new kind of, I don't know what you'd even call this, a sort of collage board or some kind of sort of messy kind of inspiration, kind of pattern-y kind of board or something like that. Yeah, I quite like that one. And the idea is that now, once you've done that, you find something that you like, and then you can work further with it. You can clear up a bunch of stuff, and you can add maybe some light or something like that. So you've got something like here, and I don't know, these look like there could be